Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Well, the Yankees formally introduced Juan Soto, kind of an unconventional way, not the typical, press conference where you put on the pinstripes all that. This one was kind of an underwhelming Zoom call, but we'll kind of go into some of the, comments he made. Again, nothing too earth-shattering, but nevertheless, we'll go over that too. And plus, now I guess the MLB is trying to get like the NBA a little tricky and funky with promoting the stars with the new Spring Breakout, which will occur this spring 2024. Kind of mention what that all is about. And also now, again, after the dust has settled with the big Ohtani contract, hearing some little rumors, another team being willing to sign him, but for some reason, something scared Ohtani away, and we'll kind of get into all that stuff. But before we get started, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Got a long way to go. The Yankees are still hot and heavy off of Yamamoto. Probably before Christmas, there'll probably be a deal one way or another where he comes here someone else. So a lot more to get into. And of course, I'm sure Cashman has a few more tricks up his sleeve that he's going to roll out as we move along, get ready for spring training there. So make sure you subscribe to the podcast as well on YouTube as well. Go to YouTube, Section 420 Talkin Yankees, and just uploaded the latest episode about a day or two ago. You want to catch that as well. Kind of get into the Ohtani contract too. So this was the unveiling of Juan Soto. Now, usually when you have a big name player coming in here for the first time, the pinstripes, it's a whole thing. It's a press conference. You have a bunch of speeches, and then the player puts on the uniform, and you hear all the cameras clicking. Well, this was like very underwhelming. This was a Zoom press conference. Now, I can kind of understand why to a certain extent. I mean, we all know what Soto is. It's probably this could be a one-year rental, so I don't think you go through all the bells and whistles as you would when, for example, you bring in like an A-Rod, or you bring in like a Mark Teixeira, or you bring in a CC Sabathia or a Garrett Cole. That's when you kind of do the full presser of all the interviews and the speeches and that, and then they put on the pinstripes for the first time. Then after that, usually the player does all the talk radio circuits, the WFAN and ESPN, and does Channel 2 and Channel 4 and Channel 5, the whole bells and whistles. This was very subdued things. This was basically Juan Soto, basically in his regular clothes. I mean, yeah, he had a Yankee hat on, but he was just like in shorts and t-shirts, so not even dressed up for this thing. And kind of just had basically a conference with the news media, and again took questions there. And again, nothing really great to take away from it. I guess I just found it interesting that he found out the news of him being traded when he was playing video games with his friends there. So you got to remember, he is a 25-year-old still. But other than that, the other comments really struck me. One of them, they kind of asked, do you think the Yankees would sign him long term? He just made the comment, hey, they know who to call, meaning just talk to his agent. He just wants to focus on the season, which, that's pretty much what he's going to say. And then, of course, he was also asked about the short porch in right field. But he kind of mentioned that, he does plan on using the whole field there, not just falling in love with, we've seen some players get a little greedy and try to just go for the short field all the time and mess up their swing, and they end up even striking out or pulling balls over to second base there. So he wants to avoid that. Well, other than that was pretty much what you take away from it. It was nothing great. Again, very underwhelming. Wasn't your typical press conference for a major star, but I can understand why the Yankees don't want to go that crazy over it, just because he's going to be a one-year rental. So, even though he's a major star, it's okay doing the Zoom there. And, of course, he's going to be number 22. And, of course, the jersey is now available. If you go to the Yankee store or wherever, number 22 he's going to be, which is no surprise. He was 22 with the Padres and 22 with the Nationals. So that's Juan Soto. And, he's just looking forward, basically. Just wants to get to know his teammates and all that jazz, and then kind of take it from there. So not much. Also, he did acknowledge, I guess Yankee Stadium there in the South Bronx. He wants to play in front of the Dominican fans there, so he was looking forward to that. Want to acknowledge his Dominican brethren there, so he looks forward to playing for them come the season. So I guess they'll be out there, whether in the bleachers, creatures, and all that stuff. And we'll see. Of course, this thing's still to be determined. Everyone's guessing what the Sterling home run call is going to be. And of course, I'm sure he's looking forward to when the bleacher creatures do the starting lineup and go through everybody. They'll be doing the Juan Soto chant. So again, those are some of the things we have to look forward to. And again, other baseball news. You're hearing this thing called Spring Breakout now that's being introduced by Major League Baseball, and this is going to be a way for them to show future prospects and stars. So how it's going to work, it's going to be a set of games between March 14th through the 17th, and it's going to be part of a doubleheader. So let's just say, the Yankees play in the Reds. It's a regular spring training game. This is going to be part of a doubleheader. I'm assuming before, but maybe after, just depending the time there. So let's say before the game, you'll have these prospects from each team playing each other. So you would have the Yankee prospects playing the Cincinnati Reds prospects. And you figure, well, why are they doing this? Well, you can understand that because usually your normal starters, they're going to probably play the first 3 innings. And then you kind of work in, some of these prospects. Well, by the time that occurs, a lot of people that are watching the spring training games, once Judge is out of the game, you're probably going to flip the channel and not watch it anymore. So they figured, all right, well, if you put the prospects in front of that game where Judge is going to get a bat, you're probably going to watch maybe that game beforehand, or maybe just the fact that you can hear about this prospect and you never know what inning is going to come in. But if he's playing an entire game where he's going to be there the whole day at first base, for example, you may watch the whole game and again get to view some of these prospects. So it's a little bit like NBA-ish, around the All-Star break there. They have the 3-point contest and the slam dunk contest, and then they have their Future Stars game. So this is kind of like a version of that. Yeah, it's a little interesting. Again, I guess it's baseball just trying to, keep up with some of the other sports. It's not a terrible idea, I guess. Generally, a spring training game, like, no one's watching after the fifth inning because, again, the starter's out and the guys you really want to see are out. And, like, you got these, scrubby, type minor league players that are 19 years old, and unless they have any hype to them, you really don't care less. So now if you put them all in a game where maybe all the focus is on them, maybe it showcases them a bit, it makes it a little interesting. I don't know if that's going to heed the game. Let's just say the normal, what you call the major league game. If those prospects play in the prospect game, are they not going to play in the other game? And then who's going to play in that other game? Do they play in both games? So little things yet to be unanswered how this is going to break out, but that's the case here. Again, baseball trying a little something new. And now going back to our friend Ohtani there. Also officially put on the Dodger blue uniform there. Now, that was a real press conference, but of course you would understand why. He just signed a 10-year deal. He's going to be there for a while, so that was so different. That's the one that had all the bells and whistles. He had all the speeches, and he comes up and he takes questions and all that stuff. Kind of interesting if you caught a story that the Giants, who supposedly were in the hunt for Ohtani as well as Judge last year, were willing to pay the same amount of money the Dodgers did to get Ohtani, but supposedly Ohtani was kind of turned off by San Francisco, and mainly this was, again, according to Buster Posey, former Giants catcher, and he's part of the ownership group there, is that, again, supposedly there's rumors going around that Ohtani just didn't feel safe around San Francisco, and again, if you're watching the news lately, all the stuff going around, San Francisco really not in great shape. This problem with his homelessness, crime, cars broken in, and drug needles on the floor, and open-air drug use, and human poop on the floor, and all that stuff there. So supposedly that kind of scared Ohtani away. Now, more recently, there was a delegation of Asian business leaders that went in there, including China's president Xi Jinping, and then for like the 1 week, Gavin Newsom, the governor, actually rolled up the sleeves and had actually everything cleaned out just to go to show that if you really want to do it, you could clean the city up. And now supposedly after all those business leaders and world leaders left, now the homeless people are starting to come back into the city again, and you're starting to see some of the same problems. But overall, I guess Ohtani just felt a little unsafe about playing for the Giants, being in San Francisco. Now, I don't know if I put too much stock in that. And again, he's not a guy that's going to be walking on the street and going to Dwayne Reed to get like some aspirin, or is going to walk to McDonald's to get lunch. So, anything with Ohtani is going to be in a super secure building, and anywhere he goes, he's going to have car service and bodyguards and all that stuff. So I don't know how much we really put into that. I just think the fact is the Dodgers are the more premier team of the two. Again, they're more the Yankees than the Yankees have been lately. And if you take away this past year, every time in the World Series, it's either the Dodgers or Houston involved in it. So Dodgers still a 100-win plus team. They still got a lot of big stars, a lot of fanfare, a lot of notoriety. Maybe that had something to do with it. But I just think, if I was in Ohtani's shoe, I had a choice to play, in the Dodgers and Dodger Stadium in Hollywood, where those stars they also have there, like Mookie Betts and so forth. Again, to me, it's a no-brainer from Ohtani there. So I think he likes staying in Los Angeles. Again, he was with the Los Angeles Angels. He just needed to move to a better team that's in the postseason more. So I don't know how much kind of being turned off by San Francisco's off-the-field problems really had much to do with it. But that's according to Buster Posey, the former Giant there. So that's the episode. They make it official. Juan Soto, again, kind of an underwhelming Zoom conference, but again, maybe after COVID, where everyone's doing Zoom and stuff like that, so you shouldn't really be surprised. And he's only here for a 1-year rental. We all know that, so it doesn't really go for all the bells and whistles with the press conference there. So they got that out of the way. Ohtani, of course, the opposite situation, but only because he just signed that $700 million mega deal, and he's going to be there for a decade. So it kind of warrants a press conference there. So that's the episode. We'll catch you next time.